The city skyline glittered under velvet night sky, its twinkling lights reflecting off the glass walls of Alex Whitmore's penthouse mansion. At 29, Alex was a billionaire tech prodigy, the kind of man who could buy a private island on a whim or have a custom supercar delivered in a week. His name was synonymous with innovation, his face plastered across business magazines, and his bank account was the envy of every entrepreneur in Silicon Valley. Yet despite all this, Alex was restless, not because of work or wealth, but because of something far more persistent: his family. The Whitmores were old money, their lineage steeped in tradition and expectations. Alex's parents, Margaret and Charles, along with his grandparents, aunts and uncles, clung to a rigid sense of propriety. They approved of his success, of course, but they disapproved of his lifestyle, or rather, his lack of one. "When are you going to settle down?" his mother would ask at every family gathering, her voice laced with equal parts concern and judgment. "You're not getting any younger, Alexander. Find a nice girl, start a family." His father would chime in with a lecture about legacy, while his grandmother, Evelyn, would fix him with a stare that could pierce steel, muttering about how his bachelor ways were unseemly. Alex had tried to appease them. He dated models, heiresses, and even a diplomat's daughter, but none of them clicked. They were too polished, too predictable, or too eager to latch onto his fortune. Worse, they bored him. So when the annual Whitmore family dinner loomed on the horizon, a formal affair held at his mansion to scrutinize his life choices, Alex decided he'd had enough. He wasn't going to endure another evening of pointed questions and disappointed sighs. This time, he'd outsmart them. The idea came to him late one night while scrolling through an obscure corner of the internet. A discreet service offered temporary companions for social events, actors who could play any role, from business partners to romantic interests. It was perfect. He'd hire a fake girlfriend to pose as his partner for the dinner, someone poised and charming who could win over his family and silence their nagging for good. He browsed the profiles, settling on a woman named Lily Harper. Her bio promised elegance, wit, and the ability to blend seamlessly into any high society setting. Alex booked her immediately, imagining a sophisticated woman in a sleek evening gown who'd dazzle his family with grace. The night of the dinner arrived, and Alex was a bundle of nerves. His mansion, a sprawling masterpiece of marble and glass, had been transformed into a stage for the evening. The dining room table was set with fine china, crystal glassware, and silver candelabras, the air fragrant with the aroma of a gourmet feast prepared by his private chef. Alex adjusted his tailored suit in the mirror, smoothing his dark hair and practicing his smile. He needed this to work. He needed Lily to be perfect. The doorbell chimed, a soft, melodic sound that echoed through the foyer. Alex took a deep breath, straightened his tie, and strode to the door. He opened it with a confident grin, ready to greet the elegant woman who'd save his night. Instead, he froze. Standing on his doorstep was a woman in her mid-20s, but she was not the vision of sophistication he'd imagined. Lily Harper wore fluffy bunny pajamas, the kind with cartoonish ears flopping on the hood. Her auburn hair was piled into a messy bun, strands escaping in every direction, and she carried a crumpled grocery bag stuffed with chips and candy bars. She grinned at him, her green eyes sparkling with mischief. "Hey, boss man," she said, her voice bright and unapologetic. "I'm Lily. Here for the gig. Where's the food? I'm starving." Alex blinked, his jaw slack. What are you wearing?" he stammered, his voice a mix of disbelief and horror. "This is a formal dinner." Lily shrugged, unfazed, stepping past him into the foyer like she owned the place. "You said pretend to be your girlfriend, right? Girlfriends get comfy. These are my lucky PJs. Plus, they're super soft. Wanna feel?" She extended a sleeve toward him, but Alex recoiled, his mind racing. "This is a disaster," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. "My family's going to be here in 20 minutes, and you look like you just rolled out of a sleepover." "Relax, dude," Lily said, popping open a bag of cheese puffs and munching one loudly. "I got this. You hired me to play a part, and I'm gonna nail it. Just point me to the kitchen. I smell something amazing." Alex wanted to argue, to send her back and demand a refund, but there was no time. The sound of car doors slamming outside signaled his family's arrival. He groaned, pinching the bridge of his nose. "Fine, just try to act normal, please." Lily winked, crunching another cheese puff. "Normal's my middle name. lead the way to the chow. The dining room was a vision of opulence, the long mahogany table gleaming under the chandelier's soft glow. Alex's family filed in, their formal attire a stark contrast to Lily's pajama-clad presence. His mother, Margaret, wore a pearl necklace and a navy dress that screamed understated wealth. His father, Charles, was in a crisp suit, his silver hair immaculate. Grandmother Evelyn, a formidable woman with a cane and a sharper tongue, surveyed the room with hawk-like eyes. Aunts Clara and Beatrice, along with their husbands, filled out the group, their chatter polite but tinged with curiosity. Alex introduced Lily as his girlfriend, his voice tight with nerves. "Everyone, this is Lily Harper, my partner," he gestured to her, praying she'd at least sit quietly. Lily, however, had other plans. She plopped into the chair beside him, her pajamas rustling, and immediately reached for the appetizers. The first course was a delicate spread of caviar on toast points, smoked salmon canapés, and a creamy artichoke dip with artisanal bread. Lily's eyes lit up like a kid at a candy store. "Oh, heck yeah," she said, grabbing a toast point and slathering it with caviar. "This stuff is killer. Pass the bread rolls. Oh, and that dip looks amazing." The table fell silent, forks pausing midair as the Whitmores stared. Margaret's eyebrows shot up, and Charles cleared his throat. Grandmother Evelyn tilted her head, her expression unreadable. Alex felt his face burn, certain the night was doomed. But Lily was oblivious. She piled her plate with appetizers, eating with the enthusiasm of someone who hadn't seen food in days. Between bites, she launched into a story. "So, Alex and I met at this super cool art gallery, right? He was all brooding and mysterious, staring at this weird painting of a fish. I told him it looked like my goldfish, Bubbles, who totally flopped at being a pet. Anyway, we bonded over bad fish art, and boom, love at first sight." Alex choked on his water, forcing a smile. Hey, yeah. "Something like that," he said, kicking her lightly under the table. Lily just grinned, undeterred, and kept eating. As the main course arrived, roasted filet mignon with truffle mashed potatoes and grilled asparagus, Lily's enthusiasm only grew. She loaded her plate high, cutting into the steak with gusto. "Man, this is next level," she said, her mouth half full. "Alex, you didn't tell me your chef was a wizard. This is like food heaven." The family exchanged glances, their initial shock giving way to curiosity. Aunt Clara leaned forward. "So, Lily, what do you do for a living?" she asked, her tone polite but probing. Lily swallowed a massive bite of potato and wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. "Oh, you know, bit of this, bit of that. I'm a freelance vibe curator. Basically, I make stuff fun. Like last week, I organized a dog yoga class. Ever seen a bulldog do downward dog? Hilarious." Alex cringed, expecting his family to recoil, but to his surprise, Grandmother Evelyn let out a low chuckle. "A vibe curator? That's a new one," she said, her eyes twinkling. "Most of Alex's girlfriends pick at their food like sparrows. You, my dear, have an appetite." Lily beamed, taking it as a compliment. "Thanks, Granny. Gotta fuel the fun, you know." She reached for the serving bowl of mashed potatoes, scooping a second helping as the table watched in stunned silence. By the time dessert arrived, a towering chocolate hazelnut torta with fresh berries and whipped cream, Lily had eaten her way through most of the meal's offerings. She'd polished off the extra pasta the chef brought out, finished the salad bowl single-handedly, and even asked for seconds of the asparagus. Now she attacked the torta with the same zeal, licking frosting off her fingers with a contented sigh. "This is the best night ever," she declared. "Alex, you gotta hire me for every dinner. I'm moving in." The family burst into laughter, the tension finally breaking. Charles slapped Alex on the back. "Son, she's a keeper, real, unpretentious, not like those stuffy girls you usually bring around." Margaret nodded, her earlier skepticism replaced with warmth. "I was worried you'd end up with some gold digger or socialite. Lily's genuine, I like her." Even Grandmother Evelyn, notoriously hard to please, raised her glass. "To Lily," she said, "may you keep this boy on his toes." Alex sat back, dumbfounded. What he'd thought was a catastrophic failure had somehow turned into a triumph. Lily, in her ridiculous bunny pajamas, had won over the toughest crowd he knew. As the evening wound down and the family said their goodbyes, Lily leaned over to him, whispering, "Told you I'd nail it. You owe me a burger for this." In the weeks that followed, Alex couldn't stop thinking about her. Lily was unlike anyone he'd ever met, unfiltered, fearless, and utterly herself. He called her again, not for a job, but for a real date. To his surprise, she said yes, but only if he promised to try her favorite dive bar's greasy tacos. They laughed, argued, and ate their way through countless dates, each one more real than the last. What started as a fake relationship blossomed into something true, and Alex found himself grateful for the night his perfect plan went hilariously wrong. They lived happily ever after, with plenty of food and laughter to fill their days.